he reached out, he wrote like a text saying, listen, sorry, how this all...
Jon Jones reached out to Dana White, apologizing for the whole situation and expressing his genuine desire to fight at the White House event. The apology was real, but it changed absolutely nothing for White. When asked directly if Jones's text message shifted his perspective, White's response was crystal clear with a single word that said everything. The UFC president appreciated the gesture, but trust once broken wasn't easily repaired. This wasn't just about one fighter anymore, this was about protecting the biggest event in UFC history from any potential complications.
You said Jon Jones called you, and he apologized. What was...
White's position became even more definitive by November 2025 during his appearance on the Flagrant podcast. He explained in detail what had happened behind the scenes that destroyed his confidence in Jones. There had been a deal in place, not discussions or negotiations, but an actual agreement. Then Jones made a phone call that changed everything, backing out and leaving White in an impossible position. White couldn't risk having someone unreliable anchoring an event of this magnitude.
He reached out, he wrote like a text saying, listen, sorry, how this all played out or whatever. You know, I want to fight at the White House. I'm serious about that.
And then came the question.
The comparison White drew was telling. He contrasted Jones with fighters like Conor McGregor, who simply show up ready to fight without calling 30 people for opinions or second-guessing decisions. White needed someone who would be at the venue ready to perform, not someone who might have last-minute doubts. This fundamental difference in reliability became the deciding factor.
Him reaching out and doing that, but I need people I can count on for this fight.
By February 2026, when White sat down with matchmaker Mick Maynard to finalize the White House card, Jones wasn't even part of the conversation. The door had officially closed. What started as probably not had evolved into definitely not, and the booking phase made it final. White was focused entirely on assembling a card that would deliver without drama, and Jones represented too much risk for an event that couldn't afford any complications.
And I know who they are. I know who they are not.
The breaking point traced back to June 21st, 2025, the night everything changed for the heavyweight division. After months of torturous negotiations for a unification bout with Tom Aspinall, Jones made a phone call to White that ended it all. Within hours, White stood before cameras in Baku and announced that Jones had retired, immediately promoting Aspinall to undisputed heavyweight champion. No unification fight, no pay-per-view spectacle, just a phone call that reshuffled the entire landscape.
I haven't said yes or no to anybody yet, but I can't put Jon Jones in a position where he can...
The negotiations leading to that moment had been among the most frustrating in UFC history. White had gone on record guaranteeing the fight would happen, calling it possibly the biggest heavyweight bout ever. But behind the scenes, details kept shifting. Reports surfaced about Jones demanding $30 million or more, while Aspinall dealt with injuries but remained committed to the fight. The final straw came when Jones, who hadn't been training between fights, asked for 6 months to prepare from essentially zero fitness.
With him, we had a deal to fight Tom Aspinall.
Jones's retirement statement spoke of reflection and gratitude, while Aspinall's response was notably different. The new champion posted simply about getting the heavyweight division moving again, with an active, undisputed champion ready to defend regularly. There was no bitterness, just a man who had waited 19 months for a fight that never materialized, finally ready to move the division forward.
He said, you know what, I'm not going to do it.
He didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
The absurdity reached its peak when Jones appeared at the ESPYs just days after retiring, already talking about potential comebacks. He had been retired for exactly 2 days, but was discussing the White House card that wouldn't happen for another 12 months. This immediate flip-flopping perfectly illustrated why White's trust had been shattered and why reliability had become the paramount concern.
Jon Jones called us last night and retired. Jon Jones is officially retired.
The White House event represents something unprecedented in combat sports history. This isn't just another fight card, it's a championship event on the South Lawn of the White House, timed to coincide with America's 250th anniversary. President Trump announced it during an Iowa rally, describing it as part of the anniversary celebrations with potentially 25,000 attendees. White's operations team walked through everything with the president's staff and received full approval.
Jon Jones said he needed 6 months to prepare for Aspinall if he's going to fight Aspinall. So they were trying to make a deal, and then he decided to retire.
6 months.
The production scale is massive, requiring them to level out the sloping South Lawn and construct infrastructure that won't block the White House backdrop. White mentioned spending $1 million just to replace the lawn they'll tear up during construction. The lighting structure is being designed specifically so the White House remains visible behind the octagon throughout every fight. This attention to detail reflects White's understanding that he's not just building a fight card, he's creating a monument.
But it's 6 months because he's not training, like at all. Like he just doesn't train. Like in between fights, just doesn't train.
Yeah.
Which to me,
The broadcast arrangement eliminates pay-per-view barriers, making it accessible on CBS and Paramount Plus under their $7.7 billion media rights deal. With only 6 to 7 fights planned, every bout must be headliner quality, and the venue constraints limit on-site attendance to maximize the television experience. White has called it potentially the most watched UFC event in history, and with those stakes, there's zero tolerance for unreliable performers.
They were talking to him like he had been retired for 5 years, and they're like, so like, what's it like being out of retirement now and like going out and training? He's like, oh, I'm so sore. I'm like, he's been retired for 2 days. What are you talking?
Beyond the business complications, Jones revealed serious physical issues that added another layer to his situation. During an interview with Helen Yee, he disclosed severe hip arthritis so advanced that doctors had cleared him for hip replacement surgery at 38 years old. The information initially leaked when someone recorded him with meta-glasses at a bare-knuckle event, capturing what Jones thought was a private conversation about his medical condition.
What can you tell us about that? Is that finite? Is that definitely going to happen? Is it something that's just being talked about? What's the situation?
It's done.
Wow.
So we literally just did, my head of production went over there.
Daniel Cormier, Jones's longtime rival, watched him at a celebrity flag football game and came away convinced that Jones was finished. Cormier described seeing Jones unable to keep up when other athletes ran past him, his movement looking compromised, and his running mechanics appearing off for someone who had fought Jones twice and understood his physical capabilities better than almost anyone. This was definitive proof that the tank was empty.
My ops people went there, went through everything with the president's team. Then the president signed off on everything, and we're a go.
The injuries made sense given Jones' fighting style over 17 years. The spinning elbows, knee strikes, wrestling, and overall punishment had accumulated into arthritis that qualified him for joint replacement. Cormier connected the physical breakdown to the specific techniques that made Jones dominant, suggesting that his body had finally reached its limit after nearly 2 decades of elite competition.
I have Zuffa boxing on the 23rd of this month. 24th is UFC, and as soon as those 2 fights are over, I start working on the White House fight.
With his physical condition deteriorating and his relationship with the UFC strained, Jones began speaking differently about his future. During the Helen Yee interview, he stated plainly that he couldn't care less about fighting anymore, words that carried weight coming from someone who had once been the youngest champion in UFC history. The fire that had driven him through 2 weight classes and multiple title reigns had dimmed in a way that felt permanent.
Literally building that thing, because what I didn't want was a lighting grid blocking out the White House.
And then came the statement that showed just
Jones outlined his vision for 2026 as centered on personal growth, professional ventures, and spiritual development rather than competition. He spoke about mentoring younger athletes, expanding humanitarian work, and investing time in family and faith-based initiatives. His mentorship of Olympic gold medalist wrestler Gable Steveson became a prominent example, with Jones providing training guidance and sharing his experience transitioning from Olympic-level wrestling to MMA success.
I'm going to put on, obviously, the card that people expect to be at the White House. That's what I'm going to put together.
Meanwhile, the heavyweight division moved forward with remarkable speed under Tom Aspinall's leadership. The new champion immediately signaled his intent to be active, emphasizing consistent title defenses rather than the drawn-out negotiations that had characterized the Jones era. Contenders who had been stuck in limbo suddenly had a clear path forward, and the title regained its traditional function as a regularly defended centerpiece of the division, allowing the heavyweight landscape to finally thaw out after being frozen for nearly 2 years.
For the record, I agree 1,000% with Dana White. The White House card has to be with guys that you can,
no room for interpretation.
has to be with guys that aren't going to embarrass the company. And unfortunately, he's done that. UFC 200, he did that. He's in the midst of something right now. They're going to put a guy who's in the midst of this thing right now on the White House card? No, you put Sean Brady on the White House card.
It is true. I do have arthritis, and the kid that leaked that was an absolute. I was talking to some guys in Confidential, and he had one of those metal glasses on like myself, and he ended up posting that. That wasn't for everybody to hear.
I have severe arthritis, and most people don't know that. I actually already qualified for hip replacement.
But that's how life works. I've been an athlete my whole entire life, and it's just something that comes with it. I think I started sports in 7th grade. Now I'm almost 40 years old, so it comes with it, but I do it all over again. And I feel great. You guys will see today. I'm going to get a warm up. I'm going to be running around, having fun, and doing what I do, baby.
Well, Jon came out recently and said he is up for a hip surgery already. He might be done. There's a lot of news surrounding Jon Jones right now. Some of the news would seem to have come to us when it wasn't intended to come. I think that Jon Jones knew what he was doing. I think that he wanted people to know that he's injured. And I think that's exactly the way that he wanted it to happen, by giving it to an influencer. I believe Jon Jones is hurt. And I believe Jon Jones really is dealing with with injuries from a long sustained career in combat sports, where knees and elbows and kicks were such a massive part of his game. The wrestling. I mean, sports from a young age takes a toll on the body, to anyone. I truly believe, that was the video that made me believe that Jon Jones doesn't have anything left in that regard. There will be no wrestling match between him and I. Because if that's him, right, in athletics, it would be too hard for him to compete in a wrestling match. His body will not hold up in the training to prepare for a wrestling match. So I think that people should now start to get ready for a day when they don't have Jones in fighting.
I don't want to say that I'm retired, because fighting is in my blood. Right now, I could really care less about fighting. I've been doing it my whole life at a very high level. And when the itch comes back,
Jones still left the door.
And if it comes back, then I'll do it with my whole heart. I'll do it to the best of my abilities. But right now, I look around and I realize what's true, what's real. I see the way people look at me and the way I make people feel. And it's an extraordinary thing. It's a true blessing. Now my job is to serve that, give that to my fans, be reachable, touchable, let them know what I have inside. That's who I am right now. I've punched and kicked enough people.